Uh, okay, it's there now. Like,
Yep. Welcome to the Isabella Banks YouTube channel. It's your girl Weezy here, and as always, it's a pleasure to be here with you all. How is everyone doing? Are you enjoying the conversation so far? You all good? Because good. This video is sponsored by none other than OLC Luxury Cosmetics, a real one from the squad. I bet you guys didn't know that we had people who could do this stuff in the squad, right? Well, it takes more than a pretty face to get along in this life, as our Princess Megan has shown us. And we have someone who is actually a skincare expert and has produced goods, products, which she would like the rest of the squad to have a sample of. This is part two of the conversation we were having in part one about the Charity Commission's investigation process and what we can do to jog things along. So if you haven't watched that one, stop now, go to part one and watch that one so that you can understand what we're talking about in part two. Okay, if you're not ready to do that right now, that's also fine. Don't forget to come back to the channel to watch part one. Okay, this is me promoting my video. Okay, so let me see. Let me just share this screen. So I was very, very inspired by the conversation that we were having, Mumbai, the other day, when you said we should report Sophie to the Solicitors Regulatory Authority. And I said, say less. My goodness, why didn't I ever think of this? I'm a solicitor, for goodness sake. I should have thought about that. So that just got my brain firing on all pistons. Like, I went through the
I
code
mean,
of
I mean,
conduct.
for me,
I went
really,
through the
yeah,
7 principles that we should have as solicitors, and
exactly.
I have gone through like all through my years of having, of course, over the years, you have to report other solicitors to the law society. So I sat down and I thought about how the process goes, and I thought, okay, I am going to do a breakdown of what we need to do in order for this to be effective. It's not just making the report, but we want it to be effective. And let's come on here and have the conversation, because it's great that we're celebrating with Megan at the moment. And I really don't want to spoil anyone's mood, but we can't forget that there's still a few issues that still need to be tackled in the squad. And if we can deal with it easily by providing the information, why not? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
the SRA takes misconduct seriously, and when you look at their code of conduct, Sophie was out here breaking principles like it was a clearance sale. Like she didn't even pay any mind to the fact that she is a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales, from misleading the public to abusing her position to being accused of bullying former board members. There's enough here for the SRA to take a real look at. But from my experience, what we need are numbers. What are your thoughts, Mumbi?
So for me, I think that the two main grounds
Yeah.
that we have are, first of all, integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I am talking about integrity, and integrity is very different from dishonesty. So
Yeah.
nobody is saying anything about dishonesty here. We're talking
No.
about integrity. So now the reason why she falls, in my opinion, foul of that particular
Mm-hmm.
issue is that, first of all, let's go right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
In order for her to get the position as chair in
Yeah.
the first place, what had occurred was she had been invited because she had been a previous board member for about 6 or 7 years of
Mm-hmm.
Sentebale. So she had been invited because Sentebale wanted to have a more representative and more, you know, a bigger mix of a board. You know, they were trying to kind of shake that up. So they invited her to help them to recruit a new chair, because the chair that they'd had been with them for a fair long while, right? Now, when she was invited for the purpose of acting effectively as a headhunter, what she did was sue them because she discovered that she was not on the shortlist. So if we're starting from there, remembering that this is a voluntary position, and you're suing a tiny charity because they have not included your name in a shortlist, where you are only invited as an advisor in order to help them get a chair. So let's start from that. That's the first thing she did.
There.
And then she gets in. That's not how you show integrity, right?
No.
So she then gets into the board, and the first thing she does is she says, everything you're doing, you're all wrong-headed. It's not how you raise money. We can't keep going on like this. You can't just rely on showcases like the polo matches. What we really need to do is we need to spend an awful lot of money on consultancy in order to figure out how in the future we're going to raise money. What is our model of fundraising going to be? So, ostensibly they agree to this because they did this whole blah, 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 blah process of saying why that was necessary, right? So they did it. Now, they did that and it came at an absolutely eye-watering cost, right? So they do all that. And then in September of 2024, or 2023 or 24, I might be getting my dates wrong here, but I think it's 2024. They had this huge summit in South Africa of all the people that they have wrangled that they believe will be the future of how the model should work. Now, the trouble is that the people that they've found and the people that they've wrangled, first of all, there's no money on the table. Nobody has actually pledged anything. These are just people coming in for effectively a sounding exercise, right?
Yes.
£600,000 in, we're having a jolly in Lesotho to go and see what maybe we can do, perhaps. Maybe we can do, perhaps. And then what's even worse is when we then dug into who had been consulted in the process of this whole let's figure out how to do this process differently. You suddenly discover that, oh, hang on, it's her brother. Oh, hang on, it's the chick she used to work with at Morgan Stanley. Oh, hang on, it's Ian Rawlinson and his private company. Oh, hang on, it's another company that she's connected to. And
what's happened?
Yeah, it's kind of froze. I don't know if you can hear my voice.
I can hear you, but I can't hear Mumbi anymore.
Yeah, I cannot hear her either.
Maybe it's the network where she is. It's fine.
Yeah.
She's basically just laying out the backstory.
Yeah, she got good points. She got good points, yeah.
This is why I invited her on, because when she was talking about it, although I pay attention, but I realized that she has been paying closer attention than me. And it was great if we're going to be talking about making a move. Then we need someone who has been paying very close attention. Mumbi, are you back?
To it.
No, I mean, I know it's terribly boring and I do tend to go on. That's just my neurodiversity. I'm sorry. I kind of need to finish getting to the end of a thread. That's just how my brain works. I'm afraid it's just how it is. It's tragic, but it's what it is. But anyway, what I was going to say is that the point about that is that by the time we get to March and the board, in fact, they asked her to leave in December.
Yeah.
It's around November, December that they said, actually, this isn't working out. We've tried your way. You've introduced us to these people who were supposedly going to be making pledges. The pledges haven't materialized, and we've spent quite a lot of our resources. We don't think that your plan is working, and we'd quite like you to leave.
600,000 was a lot for Sentebale. So
a lot. It was more than. It was a lot. It was nearly their entire, basically, what is it called? You know, the fund that they keep, like, you know, rainy day money sort of thing. You know, because I mean, they were only operating as a book of about 1.2 maximum a year. So 600,000 is a terrific amount for them to have to 600,000 to put down. But anyway, so in December or whatever, they say to her, look, it's not working out. It's, you know, we're not really down with your direction, and what you suggested to us is not actually producing results, and also we really don't like how you are managing our donors. Because the other part of this piece that people haven't realized is she was having very bad relationships with the existing people who had already been with Sentebale and supporting Sentebale for decades. So
They
that
lost
was
the
a problem.
donor, didn't they? They lost the donor.
Well,
Wow.
they
Yeah, they
didn't lose
did.
him. What he did was he declined to fund the 2024 polo because he did not appreciate how she conducted herself towards him.
Yeah.
Right.
IPS. This is Handa, right? Who have funded them for
Yes.
years and years and years. But then they did fund something with Invictus. So it wasn't a personal animus against Harry or the charity. It was against her in particular, and her very, very high-handed and you know, really quite terrible personal conduct towards these very you know, venerable people who'd been dealing with the charity for a very long time. So anyway, so she does all that. She mishandles this. The other thing she mishandled about the polo in 2024 is what she had organized was a private ground where they were going to pay for the polo, right?
Yes.
But then when that ground discovered that actually Netflix are going to be there, perhaps Megan was going to be there, etc., quite rightly, as a commercial company, they said, hey, you need to give us a bit more money now, because obviously you're going to be getting something out of it. So then what happened was Nacho Figueres stepped in and said, no, forget all that, we're going to get a free place. So in charity, as you know, if you can get a free place, you always take a free place.
Yes.
But what she had done was get a place where she's actually having to pay, and again had mishandled the relationship. Anyway, forward to her, and the board basically saying, we're not happy with you, we'd like you to please step down. She declines to step down, and not only declines to step down, she takes court action at the beginning of March to basically compel them to not require her to step down, because she's saying that she has reasons about malfeasance and other things going on in the charity. So then all of the board decide, well, actually, we cannot afford to enter into a legal battle with you, because we are responsible board. We cannot spend our money, having already spent 600 grand, going into a legal battle with you. So we are going to step down. So they stepped down, and the founders stepped aside. And people need to remember these words. They did not step down as founders. They've stepped aside. They're still founders of that charity. They're still it is still their charity. They've stepped aside. They've chosen not to work with her, but they are still founders and are registered as such of the charity. So that hasn't changed. They've simply chosen not to work with her in solidarity with the rest of the board. But when it comes to her conduct as pertains to SRA, integrity, you can say 100%. The code of conduct of the Charity Commission is, if you're a board member, let alone a chair, and you lose the confidence of your board, and usually it's by majority, let alone the entire board resigning, you leave.
You leave.
It's a voluntary position. You leave. And if then your founders also step aside, you leave. Because your ethics and your integrity at this point are questionable. You are, in fact, bringing the profession of being a solicitor into disrepute by making everybody see that your standards of professionalism, your standards of being able to apply the codes of conduct that you are held by, are not up to par. You cannot be sitting there and squatting when you've been asked to leave.
Yeah.
And it's not appropriate. And then she goes and doubles down by sitting on Sky Television with Ian Rawlinson and slandering the founder, Prince Harry, because what she said, because obviously it's verbal, it's slander, she slandered him and said he'd done this and he'd done the other, and she'd already turned herself around before the end of the conversation because I think she realized what she was saying and turned around and said, oh no, he's always been very nice to me. But that's not what she had said previously.
That's not what she said, though. No.
So she said two different things in the same interview.
Yes. And shortly after that, a lot of the claims that she made in that interview were refuted almost immediately by iPaper. You remember?
Immediately.
Like the one
and not only it's slander and libel. Because she also wrote it down.
Where she was talking about Meghan, and Meghan didn't tell her she was coming, only to find out that this heifer was the one who invited Meghan in the first place. So how do you say
Meghan? Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's slander, and it's also besmirching the character and the reputation of your founders, and also besmirching the character and the reputation of Meghan. But also, it is very instructive that in doing all of this, what she is doing is damaging really quite catastrophically the reputation of the charity. Because who on earth would actually be able to put their finger in their pocket or their hand in their pocket and give money to a charity where there is a chair who is accusing the founders of such grave misdeeds in public on national television?
Yes.
For everybody to know. Nobody's going to touch that thing. No. And that's exactly what's happened, which means that now she's damaged the reputation so much. Remember, she'd already damaged relationships with previous donors, like, IFCS Handa. She's already damaged, she's done reputational damage with these things that she's said. She's done more damage by insinuations around, the management of the finances and everything around the charity and their competence
Saying that there was further governance.
Yeah. And then further, she's gone ahead and turned around. A charity's charter is what they live and die by. And that charity was founded in order to look after a very specific constituency of very vulnerable children within Lesotho. And that charter is what they're about, right? Everybody can't do everything. You can't be all things to all men. You have a particular purpose, and you have a particular duty to your purpose. And the other thing that she hasn't really given credence to is that when people give you donations, particularly big donations, they give them for the purpose of what you have ascribed to be your mission and your vision, etc. You can't just halfway through decide, oh, hang on, it's really sexy to go and do carbon credits for climate change because everybody's doing that.
Speak of extreme.
You can't just do that all halfway through, because I've given you £500, I've given you £1,000 because I wanted it to go to the children of Lesotho who are orphans and have AIDS. And then now you're going to go and start doing carbon credits and teaching them how to sew. Teaching them how to sew is great, but can we do the basics first?
We want to be alive. How about that?
Exactly. You can't. Turning it into a social enterprise is not going to help an extremely vulnerable population. Because the other thing that's really pathetic about her business model is that Lesotho is on very high on the world index of most impoverished communities. There's really not a lot of money that is floating around in Lesotho. Most people who are from there have to go and the Basotho work in South Africa, because there's not enough going around in the system for them to be able to sustain their lives. So you're turning around and saying we're going to create a social enterprise. How? Where are they going to get the money?
So basically, she wants the
ridiculous.
Donations. She wants her salary to be paid out of the donations that come
Exactly.
into the charity, and that's
Exactly.
not what it was set up to be.
How
So
can
that
you say you want 300,000 as a volunteer?
300,000 though.
As a volunteer.
To be honest, it kind of makes me wonder if she was not vetted properly before she was given that job as a chair, because she seemed to be a troublemaker. She's
my
a
sister, my
troublemaker.
sister, on that point, I'm going to try and keep my big mouth shut
Me too.
because I have some concerns and opinions on that. Because
Yeah.
as I told you, if somebody is having to sue you,
Actually,
go on the short list. Your job is
that
very
is a
simple.
red flag right
Your
there.
job is very simple when it comes to deciding who you're going to
Yeah,
employ.
it's not normal
I'm sorry, but if you're
situation.
suing me to get on my short list, there ain't no way on God's earth you're going to see anywhere near my
It's
door.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's diabolical. It's
Actually,
unbelievable.
I
I've never
said
seen it
this
before.
in with the points that you're making, Mumbi. I said it in another video of mine, and a lot of people came for me. But I said to myself, "What has happened?" Because you're able to look at it, and seeing that you work with a lot of companies, business to
But
business,
Izzy, you know what she did?
all the
Izzy,
time.
you know what she did? Can I
What?
tell you what she did? This lady,
Mm,
since the beginning of her career, and I don't mean to be shady to anybody. I am a feminist. I love women. I support women. I am always on women's side, so nobody can accuse me of any of that.
yeah.
But this lady, since the beginning of time, has been riding the coattails of DEI. She got her schooling as a Zimbabwean in Canada through the Rotary because she was from a sort of, one of those they wanted to support because she was smart, but her parents were teachers, etc. So they put her through the Rotary Foundation into studying in Canada. And then after she studied in Canada, this is high school. After she finished her studies in Canada, she went to America to do her further studies, university. Again, she got in a college with DEI. And then one of the Rotary schemes gave her the opportunity to come to England to do a 1-year transfer, or, to do some law here. Because there she was doing a pre-law. She hadn't yet done law. So again, DEI, because Rotary were, you help the pathetic Africans. So anyway, so she came over here. She did her thing. She did her 1 year. Okay, she went back to America. She finished her college. When she finished her college, she came back. Now, something that makes me laugh. When she was saying that her family are the biggest funders to
Yes.
Sentebale, I'm going to park that on the side because we need to come back to that point. Because then what she did is she then studied, and it appears to me, and nobody can tell me otherwise because I've studied her LinkedIn with a fine tooth comb and a microscope. She then appears to have done a distance learning in order to get her to complete the full LLB. So that she could qualify to do the LPC, which is the legal practice course, in order to become a solicitor. At the time that she chose to do the legal practice course, it just happened a university called Oxford Brookes University was working in association with the University of Oxford, and they had created a particular course working with the City of London because they had a problem getting diversity people. They had a problem getting people from diverse backgrounds into the city, into these roles in the city. They're all coming from the same place. They're all Eton and Marlborough and all these kids, right? From the same places, and Wellington or whatever. So anyway, there was this particular course that they had created specifically to try and increase the diversity and increase the number of people from different backgrounds who were getting in. And in fact, they'd also designed it specifically for the city because they didn't want people who can do a lot of conveyancing. They wanted people who can do what they do over there, mergers and acquisitions and all that, right? So our sister gets another DEI leg up. So she gets her hand in there. She does her LPC. Very good, very nice. And then they're like, oh, you are smart and you've come all the way. And Rotary, they know how to, they know each other. They know how to shake each other's hands. So the Rotary goes to them and they're like, look, this chick, man, we've been educating her since she was 16. She's one of ours. So she gets her ass straight into what? Morgan Stanley. So there she's on her way. And then you're told, oh, she was working in mergers and acquisitions. This chick was doing photocopying, And then she's in, but she's got her DEI. She's in. And then before you know it, a few years, she looks around the city. Oh, there's another opportunity. Because now the city is complaining, oh, there are not enough people from minority backgrounds who are on the boards, the higher boards. People are not the higher levels. So what does she do? She starts a charity, DEI. She goes in, she runs all these nice champagne breakfasts and dinners and whatnot. And they start giving out awards. Oh, look, this is a nice brown person who's done well. And that one and this one. And she's the head of that thing, Okay, so that is another DEI thing. She's doing very well. And then meanwhile, the people are looking at her, patting her on the back. And then they're like, actually, she's not bad because now we have Black Lives Matter. And when Black Lives Matter happened, and some people started feeling some kind of way about themselves, they decided, you know what we're going to do? We need 2 MBEs. Who did they make MBE? Her and Sir Trevor. That's Trevor Phillips and her. They were in the same cohort. And she also got her MBA from the honorary doctor. That was also another DEI for services to what? Diversity and inclusion. This chick has been on this DEI train since she was 16.
She knows how to work the system.
I'm telling you, she's been on this DEI train. Now, the reason why I bring all this up is because she finally ran out of luck because she came against something called Sussex Squad. When she decided to come, as we say in Swahili, kuchokoza nyuki, to come and bother honeybees. You don't come and beat a honest net or a honest nets when you don't know what you're doing.
You're gonna get stung a lot.
You come and start beating it with your stick without knowing what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, when she opened her mouth against our Prince Harry, and then she even had the audacity to mention something like, oh, as Africans, we need everything to come back to Africa because the time for people to have pet projects and people to hear things as vanity projects. And also we need it to be about people in our own country, in our own continent. Girl, you've been working for the Big Five for 2 decades plus. Where's your charity in Zimbabwe? Where's your charity in South Africa? What have you done? When did you last contribute to Sentebale and when and how? She'd only been to Lesotho twice. One time to bring her sham victory tour of these shambolic people who were promising and pledging maybe perhaps one day in a million years they might give 5 cents, perhaps. Those were that was one of the 2 times she's been to Lesotho. So what is her commitment and where can she show us her effort? And then she says, okay, it's all about Africa. It's all about Africa. But the reason why it failed this time, she thought that if she went on a smear campaign, that's why she went with Trevor Phillips. By the way, her and Trevor Phillips are still on a board together. Even when she was on that show, they were still on that board together. She is on the same board steering committee with him, with this business of trying to figure out how to get more people of color in the city and all that. And they did not either of them declare that, which itself is unethical. But in any case, when she went there, she thought that she can play the race card and say, oh, they are judging me because I'm black. It's because I'm a woman. It's because what? And then Sussex Squad said, we are also African. We are also black. We also contribute. Now what are you going to tell us? And that boy, he is our uncle, he's our cousin, he is our young man, our brother that we respect. And also I noticed that you have not put Princess's name in your mouth because everybody will look at you sideways. And also, listen to this woman. She goes and opens this thing. She creates her hostile takeover crew. Her hostile takeover crew is full of people who do not live in Africa and have never lived in Africa. And they still don't live in Africa. So what is it you
Wow.
are doing for Africans then, madam?
Unbelievable.
Don't play with people.
So this
And
is
we
what
know
I
your
thought to
game.
myself, that I thought to myself, you know what you said is true. The, I should know, being a solicitor in the UK is even harder than it needs to be, just because of the amount of regulation that you get being a
Exactly.
solicitor in the UK. How come I didn't
Exactly.
even think about this? So
Exactly.
my plan is to write the complaint, but knowing how, because of the things we're talking about conduct. We're not necessarily, it's only when it comes to things like financial dishonesty that is
Mhm.
proven that the SRA begin to take it seriously. And for us to get proven dishonesty, yeah, when it comes to the
Mm.
finances of Sentebale, we need to wait for the outcome. We're not waiting for that. But how about if we use this as a way to pressure Sophie to let go of Sentebale one, and also once there is a complaint in the SRA and we notify the SRA that this is linked to a case that is going on with the Charity Commission, it also adds pressure to the Charity Commission to let them know, look, don't mess about. We are serious.
Exactly. Stop taking forever about it.
Yeah.
But you see, my only concern, and I'll
Mm.
tell you, is the way that most of this kind of complaints work. You need to have locus standi, right? And the locus standi here belongs to the beneficiaries of Sentebale,
No, not necessarily.
but
We also
also
have
to
owners.
the donors,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
does, it does definitely.
Yeah.
But the more strong point, in my opinion, would be if we could find a way to partner with anybody who is actually on the ground, huh? in Sentebale, who is
I
actually
think that's
being
kind of,
affected now.
it's not a bad idea, but I feel like it's putting obstacles where the obstacles don't need to be. Because as is, I can tell you that if the SRA today, they get, another way of approaching it would be for us to do it as, let's say, 100 people individually send a complaint
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
SRA.
for sure,
They
for
will
sure, because
take
I think
it
that's
very
that's
seriously.
warranted.
Yes,
That's
and
warranted.
then if we pass this complaint to the charity commission so that they're aware of the complaints that is going on against Sophie, that will
Mhm.
definitely add pressure to the
So can I
situation.
just say one thing back, because I didn't finish my thing on SRA? I think we
Oh,
have her on integrity,
yeah,
but also there's another one, which is, obviously bringing the profession into disrepute and all that.
yeah,
That one
yeah,
is obvious. But the
yeah,
other one, I think that we can definitely mention here, is we can definitely go into asking about conducting herself in a manner that can
yeah.
be can be all can be considered to be
That
basically
puts the
unethical.
reputation in disrepute.
Exactly, but it's unethical as well,
Yes,
because it is what she is doing is completely against the code of conduct of the Charity Commission.
completely. When I was
Just
looking at
without a
it, and I
shadow of
thought
a
to
doubt.
myself, oh my God. Oh my God.
Like,
Like I felt like somebody had just hit me on my head. Like, oh my God. I was completely not looking
Oh
at
my
it
god.
from this perspective before now. But when you said it, it made so much sense. So, but I also thought about what you were thinking in terms of how seriously will they take it? Because it's code of conduct issues, that would be like a slap on the wrist. But if we don't
mhm.
want them to dismiss it, the best way for us to be able to tackle them would be for us to send complaints en masse. Like
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
get like
definitely.
100 people to
Definitely.
do it,
No, definitely. I think numerous complaints, particularly if they're coming from people who have locus because they're donors. You're
mm,
not just bystanders deciding to go in and because she's already said that they sustained bullying. Did you see that
yeah, yeah,
thing that they put? She said it's sustained bullying, and that's why I clapped back and I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're not being bullied by your donors telling you that you need to be accountable." And
exactly.
that
I
you are
saw that.
basically harming the beneficiaries by
Mhm,
squashing the charity and making it impossible to raise funds.
mm.
So don't stand here telling people you're being bullied when what's happening is you're being held accountable for your conduct. which has affected the charity.
Misogyny and misogynoir.
Yeah, she was very
Don't
quick
play
to
us
say
with your
no.
misogynoir when you're dealing with a whole bunch of intelligent African and black and other women and what?
Yep.
What? Sit down.
She
Also,
is on hinge, you know.
I think there's a couple of screws loose, but there's something else I think is happening here. Her
Yeah,
last charity.
can you tell us? Because I've never seen such a thing in my life. I think
The
she's
other
not
charity,
normal.
but my sister, the other charity she ran, you know, her fantastic DEI,
the life sciences,
rara that she
whatever.
had, whatever she was calling it. That thing closed down with 300 and something thousand pounds worth of debt.
Wow.
And then she went up, and then she resigned as a director.
Oh, she
So it
resigned.
did not carry her.
She didn't double down and
She
stay.
didn't even deal with it. She resigned as a director. But let me ask you a question. This woman right now, where is she employed? Because her and her brother set up that thing called Nandi Life Sciences, which was a complete Ponzi scheme. They had to go and hide it in shame. Because the minute somebody started looking at it, they were like, but hang on a minute. You are talking about, I don't know how many thousand. Can you show us what you are doing? They were like, yeah, somebody pledged. Somebody pledged. I don't know, we had a meeting. I don't know, Nini, what happened. And then people were like, we've heard this story before. Wasn't there a chick who was jailed for exactly this kind of business?
Wow.
And then funny
This
enough,
is going
it
to be
suddenly
her
went
last
quiet.
employment, really. I don't think she will be employed again.
She has no job, man. You guys get to the bottoms of the point. She has no job. The chick has nowhere to go.
What I was asking myself, like, okay, I checked on the Law Society. She's not associated with any law firm.
She has no job.
She
has no job
with any law firm. For her to be working as a solicitor, she has to be associated with a law firm,
Not
right?
necessarily. Not necessarily. As a solicitor, as long as she's in good standing and she has kept her practice certificate current, which clearly she has, that's all she has to do. Now, she's clinging to this thing because the chick has nowhere to go, Because because her Nandi Ponzi, whatever they were trying over there, has folded. Okay, they have had to hide it. All her mates that she did all her fantastic, miraculous consultancy with have all scattered to the winds. Okay,
everybody's running away.
The only one she's stuck with is this Ian Rawlinson, and we have to side-eye this guy because what is he doing there? He's actually a specialist in reputation management of boards and charities. So you've got to look at him and think, why is this guy clinging on to this thing? Again, questions.
Yeah, but she has emptied their coffers. She's taken all their money. There's no money left for her to take. Yeah.
And then there's another lady, that Bahati one, she's the head of emergency medicine in Johns Hopkins University. Again, a profession and a public institution that has ethics and codes of conduct. If you are out here behaving like a bandit and a pirate, deciding to go and squat tiny little charities in the middle of South Africa for no reason, when you live in America, we need to ask questions about you.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing? It's piracy. Because you're stopping those people.
To do, guys, because I don't want to keep you here for too long.
The doubling down is insane. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. To be entirely honest, I've thought about this so much. I just don't understand why this woman is taking this charity on hostage. Sorry?
I don't think she has an option.
Looks like she was having a psychological break. But this is one of those videos that reminds you why the squad is one of the most powerful digital families in the game. We organize,
definitely the best researchers and the best investigators.
And we mobilize.
I think
you're finished.
Sisters, I think it's a tactic. I think it's a tactic we can try, because for me, what I'm concerned about, there was a charity that I really loved and I had a lot to do with back in the day that was called Kids Company. And it was basically murdered by lies and it was smeared all over the newspapers. And then the Charity Commission did a hatchet job on them. It's taken the good law. I don't know if you know that there's a guy
Good
who
Law
runs
Project.
good. Yeah, that's it. Good Law Project. It has taken the Good Law Project 10 years to clear their name. And unfortunately, Camila Bachmann actually died waiting to clear her name. And I have seen, and it was a really, really, really good sound charity. It used to get millions and millions and millions from the government because it was doing such good work for the kids. So we cannot afford to sit quietly, because they can take a long time.
Yeah. So guys, this is what
Let's do it. I'm happy to do it. Let's do this. Let's sign it and send it off.
Yeah.
You know.
But, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to sit down in the next week or so, draft the complaint, and then if you would like to participate in sending the complaint, because what we need to do is individually send the complaint to the SRA.
Yeah.
Right. So what I would do is to prepare the template of what I'm going to be sending, both the cover letter and the complaint itself. And then the best way to share it, I think, is a group that I have started on Instagram, where I can share I can share the PDF of it. Anyway, I'm going to share it
like a link, as a link.
As a link. I can share it there, and then you can either send it as is, or you can make your own edits to it. But the point I'm trying to make is that if we want this to be effective, we can't just sit on our oars and just say, well, Prince Harry is going to do this, blah, 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 blah. Yes, dear. But if you're interested in actually assisting, all you need to do is to copy and paste and send it to the SRA.
Yeah.
And the more of this
one
that
last
are
point,
able to do this, the better. Pardon?
Yeah. One last point, Izzy. The reason why Seso and Harry are not speaking is because legally, especially as founders, and remember what I said, they stepped aside, they didn't step down. They absolutely cannot interfere and cannot speak at all on the process. So they are not allowed, and they
because
cannot
of the legal situation, isn't it?
Yeah, they cannot be seen to have anything at all to interfere with the process, because they are still founders of that charity. So they are not the people in operational control. However, they are still, as founders, have a responsibility not to be seen to be influencing the process. So like when Prince Charles's charities were being investigated, he also had to step aside and be quiet about it. And by the way, interestingly enough, his charities were investigated, and one of his people had to pay back money. They had to resign. They had to apologize. So, it's not like it's the first time that the Charity Commission has had to deal with royal charities that have had any issues.
Yeah.
But what is the problem is that if they decide to drag their feet, or if they decide to give a perverse decision, we have to try and use whatever means we have to try and encourage these squatters to find another home, and to maybe go and open another place with their
because at the end of the day, it's the beneficiaries who are suffering.
Yeah, exactly. That's what is really painful. And remember, because Lesotho is such a poor country, very few people have secure jobs. So the people who are working for Sentebale and have been retrenched, their entire families are affected as well. So it has a knock-on effect on so many people within the community. And this is just these three people squatting a place that they don't even live in, that they're not interested in, because if they were interested, they would start their own damn thing.
Yeah.
So why are they squatting it?
Okay, guys. Yeah. So it's been a fantastic conversation. If you would like to get involved, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I will invite you to our secret group on Instagram, where I'll be sharing the templates of the complaints that we're going to be sending to the SRA. Just all you need to do is to just indicate I'm interested. That's it. You don't need to talk too much or whatever. We'll pick it up from there in the secret group. That's all I have for this evening. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you
It's
so
nice
much
Thank you for
meeting
the
for
you,
space.
being here.
Mumbi.
Thank you,
It's nice
guys.
meeting you, Mumbi.
Hello.
Yeah, I
All
said it's
right.
nice meeting you.
Oh, you too, guys. Nice meeting all of you. Thank you so much. I like your company a lot. I laugh at a lot of your stuff.
Thank
Thank
you
Yeah,
you.
so much.
me too.
All
Take
right,
care, guys.
guys. That's all I have
Okay.
for this evening. This is
Okay.
Wheezy signing off.
Take
Peace.
care,
Yes.
guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.